Welcome to Basically Mac and Cheese. You can call me Mac and Cheese because that's basically what I am. Today will be my first video in a series I will be doing on character concepts for Marvel Rivals. Today we are going to focus on Vanguard specifically because they have the lowest number of heroes in the game currently, and I'm a Vanguard main, so let's see if we can do something about that. Today we will be adding Colossus, Sentry, and Juggernaut. The first Vanguard of the video will be Colossus. Colossus's primary is Osmium Offensive. This primary is meant to act as a two-punch combo similar to the Thing's Rocky Jab, but dealing more damage and in slower intervals closer to his Haymaker. It's meant to be a perfect mix between the two to give you a nice, consistent, heavy primary attack. Colossus's secondary is Thunderclap, which creates a spell field in front of him that immobilizes enemies and deafens them for a half second. This is a nice way to disable divers and protect your backline. Colossus's first ability is Russian Rushdown. With this, he'll grab the nearest enemy, throw them, and then you can activate the ability to jump forward to that enemy, slam down on them, and this is Colossus's zoning and mobility tool. So pretty similar to Devil Dinosaur's jump/grab ability he has, but kind of the reverse. Colossus's second ability is Metallic Defense. He enters a state where projectiles within a radius of him get absorbed, very similar to Magneto's ultimate, and that damage gets reduced and converted into bonus health, and that bonus health goes mostly to Colossus himself, but also smaller percentages of bonus health go to nearby allies. So it sounds like it has a lot of benefits, but the enemy response would be very easily just don't shoot at Colossus when he's shining. And then Colossus has his passive, which is Building Pressure. When Colossus takes damage, his meter fills up, and his primary attack gains increased damage, speed of attack, and, most importantly, increased range. This takes the form of Colossus punching the air so hard that he leaves air shock waves that increase his range by values of about 3 meters. So I imagine this would have 3 tiers to it, and you would build up the 3 tiers, and at each tier you would get an additional 2 to 3 meters of range on your primary attack. So it wouldn't be crazy, but it would be nice to get extra range on a Vanguard. His ultimate is Wind Tunnel. Colossus sends a huge punch shockwave forward. This shockwave lingers, and any enemies in it are immediately pushed back with the initial push, and then, trying to regain ground, they are slowed when walking through the spell field. So this is just a nice big zoning tool for Vanguard ultimate. Pretty classic stuff. Our second Vanguard is going to be the Sentry. His primary is Thunderbolts. He holds 2 curved electrical objects that he fires forward and then they return to his hand, allowing for secondary damage instances as they return. His secondary is Sentry Shield, which is a simple shield that he casts and it moves forward until it either breaks from damage or breaks from colliding with terrain. It also pushes back enemies that it moves through. Shout out to anyone who remembers Symmetra's original shield from Overwatch. This is functionally that, but a little bit stronger. His first ability is Rush Offensive. Sentry chooses a target to fly to at insane speeds, stopping suddenly right in front of that enemy and dealing massive damage and knockback. This is Sentry's main mobility move to get into fights, and I imagine it's just scary for him to just boom right in front of you. His second ability is Overheat. This one's pretty simple. Sentry picks an enemy, and that enemy's primary now has an overheat mechanic. Use it to ruin a Punisher's day. And then his passive is Soaring Spirit. This is very simple. Sentry is a flying tank, but unlike Angela, he does not have a fast flight mode. He only has basic flight, and he has to use Rush Offensive as his main mobility. And last but certainly not least, we have Sentry's ultimates. That's right, ultimates. He has 2. His primary ultimate is called Million Sun Strike. Sentry strikes down with a big ray of sun energy that, upon landing, boom, explodes at the ground. And dozens of other energy strikes land around him. I imagine this is pretty much the inverse of Moon Knight's ultimate, where it's big AoE damage from the sky, but this one's light-themed instead of mutant-themed. And I imagine it's supposed to be largely displaceful, so it'll probably be low damage with high impact areas. His second ultimate can only be activated if Sentry is actively dead. Activating this ultimate gives you a surge of overhealth, similar to Thor's Hela team up currently. And while you're in this state, as you become the Void. As the Void, your primary is replaced by Drain, which is a black lashing energy that drains enemy health and increases your bonus health. His secondary is Shadow Domain, which is just a shadowy spear that blinds enemies in it and destroys projectiles within it. So it's sort of like a shield. His next ability is Sulk Away, where he dashes away and becomes invisible and intangible. So a nice little escape tool. And then his secondary ability is Cooldown. He reduces the cooldowns for himself and all allies within a small radius of himself. So this would be a very limited form that you can only go into in emergency situations where you're already dead. But maybe if you get a kill, you can even pop back like that Thor and Hela team up I was talking about. So a lot of room here, and this is pretty much what I wanted with Phoenix when she came into the game, with a Phoenix Revival Ultimate. But I will be happy with a Void Sentry Ultimate. Last and certainly not least is the Juggernaut. Now, the Juggernaut, I'm going to be honest, I kind of struggled with. I like Colossus, and I had some ideas for him doing like shockwave punches for a while. I love the Sentry, I loved him in Thunderbolts, and his kit kind of just came together easily. Juggernaut, I kind of struggled with, and I think it's because he's so specific and so strong as a bad guy that you kind of have to... There's a lot of things that go into making a Juggernaut. That being said, here's my concept for one. So obviously, he's a Vanguard. His primary is Rolling Strike. It is a punch forward, and with that punch, he moves forward just a little bit. I imagine this similar to Iron Fist's ult, where it will dash you towards enemies, but you just move forward a tiny bit every time you punch. His secondary is called Give Me Your All. He enters this state where he just screams at the enemy and like puts his head forward, and he absorbs incoming damage, and it converts into momentum, which we will talk about later. So this is really just his mitigating damage ability. It decreases the amount of damage that he takes and gives him a resource out of it. And then, for his two abilities, I actually have two different charge types. I have Crimson Charge and Sidorak Charge. For Crimson Charge, this one's unique in that he charges forward, knocks away enemies, can pin a single enemy dealing large damage, and while rushing, he can break through deployables. So Groot walls, penny mines, he can run through them. I think this would be really nice to give to a Brawler Vanguard a way to fight against bunkers, because those are usually so hard to fight if you don't have range. And then for his second charge, the Sidorak Charge, this is a flaming charge where as he runs, he'll ignite enemies, setting them on fire for a brief moment. And at the end of the charge, he will release a flaming field effect. And then his passive is Momentum. So damage taken increases the range on all of your attacks. As you take more damage, each of your attacks will get additional range. Your primary punch will move you forward even further. Your charges will move you even further. So as you gain momentum, you just do more damage, run further, run faster. So this is his main way to feel like you're building up as the Juggernaut. And as you walk and as you move, this meter also fills slowly. So if you get walking, you could build up into a run, into a sprint, hit a charge button, your full momentum, that charge is going to be devastating. And then lastly, we have his ultimate, Unstoppable Force. Surprise, surprise, we have another big rush. So Juggernaut rushes forward. He is completely unstoppable. He is immune to crowd control. And during this charge, he gains the benefits of Crimson Charge, which lets him break through deployables and knock away enemies, and Sidorak Charge, which lets him ignite enemies and set them on fire. And he will remain in this ultimate until he cancels it or reaches 0 HP. Nothing can stop the Juggernaut. So with that kit in mind, we are left with a Vanguard who is hyper-aggressive, hyper-mobile, covers large distances, and is strong, which is exactly what we want from a Juggernaut. Okay, so quick little addendum section to the end of this video, because I have been playing a lot of Rivals Season 9 and forgot to add team-ups for all of our characters. So here's 2 team-ups for each one of our heroes. Starting with Colossus, he's going to get a team-up with Cyclops and Emma Frost. The Cyclops team-up lets him activate an ability where for the next few seconds, his arms, his primary punches, get increased range and become large blasts. Sort of like shooting concentrated versions of Devil Dinosaur's secondary fire. So this is basically just an optic punch, is what it is. Concussive punch is what it is, really. And then with Emma, that team-up allows him to have an enhanced form of his metallic defense, where during it, he gets an additional damage reduction and is also immovable. Juggernaut will get a team-up with The Thing, where his charges get an immobilization effect added to the end of them. And a team-up with Phoenix, where while taking damage, he absorbs it, and it becomes a spark, and when it becomes a spark, he explodes in AoE fire damage, just giving him some extra offensive abilities. So there's some quick team-ups. Each one would just get better if that character was on your team, obviously. And yeah, thanks again for watching. Talk to you later. Bye! And so that's it. That is the first 3 Vanguards for the first episode of this series on building rivals concepts. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. I am new to this, but I'm certain that it helps. And I can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.